Hello, gorgeous, lovely Starseeds and Lightworkers. It's Alexander Quinn, and I hope you are well. 48 hours ago, we had an incredible CME that hit us. And what that will have done is to rewired large parts of your consciousness, your mental, physical, emotional, and your energetic light and your light bodies. So this weekend, just go easy on yourselves because your whole consciousness is currently rewiring at this moment in time. And what it's going to do is push all your resistances up to the surface. Now, this is incredibly timely because we've also just had a timeline renewal and reviewal. And so if we've just had a timeline renewal and your resistances are now going to be pushed up to the surface, what's going to happen is you're going to start consciously reevaluating at a much more stimulated level what actually works for you and what doesn't work for you, what now needs to fall away and what needs to stay in place. But it's going to be exacerbated when we have these massive waves that are coming in. Now, the fatigue is an ongoing issue. And it's important to understand that in an old energy paradigm, your cells at a cellular level were working energetically, specifically the mitochondria, to take sugars and glucose along an electron transport chain and in order to produce APT, which is the powerhouse, the electrical biochemical energy systems within your cells that are giving you fuel for the day, so to speak. And what is happening is, along with a little bit of oxidative stress, a little bit of inflammation tied in with resistances, it is changing the way that electron transport chain, which is linked to ATP production within the mitochondria, dependent on glucose and sugar intake, is happening. And your cells are adapting to a different frequency of operation Morandi now. So it is causing this deep fatigue at a cellular level. That is one of the scientific reasons. Because you are becoming Homo luminous. You're going from carbon to crystalline, and Homo luminous cellular structure is more dependent on actual light data, light codes, and photonic and ionized charged particles to fuel it, as opposed to a carbon body, which is glucose and sugar. And so, as your cellular makeup is changing, it's adapting. It's not used to letting go of this electronic transport chain and having to adapt from glucose producing ATP to taking in light data within the body in order to use it as fuel for a Homo luminous body. And so as the body adapts, it's fatigued because it's having to change at a cellular level the way it works, especially when these big energetic waves come in, which are encoding your DNA from inside out. And what also doesn't help is the resistances. So if you are in resistance, not only to yourself, but the external, internally and internally. So what we're having at this moment in time is these ancient encodings, especially your root encodings, which are coming up as this subconscious flooding linked to your safety, your security, your material connection to the material world, your paternal, maternal connections, your teeth, your blood, your immune system, your feet, your legs, your bowels, and your lower back. And those specific root issues are very prevalent at this moment in time, as are some of the more physical layers of your energy, your lymphatic system, the breast, the reproductive system, and also your stomach, the gallbladder, the pancreas. So, and of course, when these incredibly high energies come in, it can feel for some of the older hearts out there, it can feel like you're having a little bit of a fibrillation on in your heart because the rhythm of Gaia is changing. And because the rhythm of Gaia is changing, you're finding sometimes that the heart is thumping or it's is beating irregularly because it's trying to adapt to the new rhythm, the new pulses that are coming in at this moment in time. And if you're within your light body, your heart meridian is closed down, it's going to exacerbate that issue. People always ask me, why have I been getting headaches at this moment in time, Alexander? Well, it's partly because your brain is functioning at different layers of energetic encoding, gamma, alpha, beta, and so on and so forth. So when it is going from one transition to another, especially when we have these cosmic rays coming in, which are linked with a lot of gamma encoding, it is temporarily too much. And that's why these headaches are incurring alongside a few other things, because it's too much of a transition too quickly. And so, with this subconscious flooding that is going on at this moment in time, it's going to bring forward your anxiety. Some people are feeling almost like there's doom, stress, partly because it's the subconscious flooding coming through, partly because you're working through your resistances, and also partly because the blockages within your own light body are being triggered inadvertently by those who are around you at this moment in time. And so there is this feeling of wanting to isolate, to hermit in order to survive these big incoming energies. And so it is a time of very fast acceleration in terms of the ascension energies at this moment in time. And that is why mentally, physically, and emotionally and energetically, you are feeling this quickening, but also the ascension symptoms of what is happening, and it becoming more real, shall we say, in terms of the ascension that's happening at this moment in time, as opposed to something that was mythical. We're talking about ascension, but it never really seemed to, wasn't real, but now it's becoming emotionally, mentally, physically, and energetically real. And so, with the timeline renewal, what you're now going to see is very accelerated timelines, not only pushing you into those timelines, unless you are in resistance, which is going to increase your fatigue and, in very worst case scenarios, create dis-ease, which is disease, but it's also going to ask you what needs to be dropped now. And so, there are some big, big choices to now make. Am I really happy with this relationship? Am I really happy in this work scenario? Because these accelerated ascension energies are really going to start bringing it to your consciousness in a, shall we say, a way that is less gracious. And that which is not working in your favor will inadvertently, through the holographic matrix linked to your soul's expression, either show you where it needs renewal or simply fall away. And so the ascension energies are very powerful at this moment in time. And the sun's energies, the cosmic rays that are going to come in, are going to keep increasing temporarily for a short while, up until we have the pole reversal, the magnetic reversal within the sun's biosphere. And then we are going into another phase. So as within, so externally, within, so as above, so below. And all of these changes you're now going to start seeing in the external world, in our politics, in our energy systems, in our monetary systems. And so it's going to be a very accelerated timeline now. So look out for these things happening in the news, although I don't suggest you watch the news, because it's fear porn and it's not good for you. Occasionally, when I'm cooking a meal in my kitchen, I'll put on the news because I'm just interested to see what's going on in the outside world so I can keep up to date. But the moment I watch it, when my energy field integrates with that news, that music on Sky News, bum 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 bum, bum. And then you start seeing the adverts for Qantas Airlines, all the stuff, and then they come on and they start talking about, I just switch it off straight away, and then go and watch an Alexander Quinn video. Just joking. So we are in a very, very accelerated timeline now. And your soul is going to be bringing you everything it can do synchronistically, symbolically, what it can do in order to get your attention to see where you need to be headed at this moment in time. Because if you're up in the mind, you're not going to be seeing these signs and these symbols. And it's really important to tap into the feeling of what's going on, not the thinking. Because as my clients will tell you who have worked with me, you don't think energy, you feel energy. So it's really important to know every hour or every day, how is this thing making me feel? How is this thing that I'm interfacing with making me feel? How is this old relationship that's coming back in making me feel? And then working back through the resistances, yeah? Okay, so there's this new expansion that's coming in, but I'm afraid I don't want to do it. Where am I in resistance to it? Okay, it's because of this. Okay, why am I in resistance to that? Okay, it's because of this. Why am I in resistance to that? It's because of this. Okay, and you're going to find out, usually with light workers, especially with the old souls, that the resistances usually always boil down to the same old things: self-confidence issues, paternal and maternal wounding, inner child wounding, fear of stepping into the light, fear of speaking. And it's usually the same old resistances, fear of judgment and other various things. So all of this is flooding through your subconscious to come out to be reviewed. And that's why there is this feeling of doom, because on some egoic level, the ego is starting to come to a realization that it can no longer sweep under the rug that which it has been doing for a very long time. Not easy stuff, starseeds and light workers. So your body is also going to be doing this, yeah? And those who have chronic inability to be heard or to speak will feel like their throat is stuck or be having either hyperthyroidism or underreactive thyroids. And the list goes on and on and on. But usually when I go into clients' soul stars and it's closed, they are in resistance to what the soul is trying to bring in, and that increases fatigue even more. So there is a cacophony of different things happening within your energy field at this moment in time. And I strongly suggest going forward that the easiest way to navigate these energies is, yes, to be in the heart, because that's where your higher self is translated and come out of the mind, which will be dependent on older timelines and safety in an old paradigm energy. But to really start going into the feeling of what it is that you are feeling each hour of every day, because it is your higher self trying to come through as something conceptual through your emotional template to show you something. And instead of projecting back onto the mirroring that is incoming for you, which is the holographic matrix you set up prior to getting here. So some of you might need to watch this back and just listen again because it probably seems a bit wordy, but it is part of energetically what's going on at this moment in time. And I do apologize for not putting out more videos recently at this moment in time, but 99% of what I do behind the scenes is my private practice with my clients, and that's been very intense with a lot of clients at this moment in time. So I will be getting back to more videos soon, but if you haven't been following me, do follow me on Facebook and Telegram because I'm putting out those regular messages. And as an aside, I am going to Adrian Lee, who's a fabulous spiritual events facilitator, is putting on this brilliant event in Glastonbury. I think it's 13th of September. If I got the date wrong, do let me know in the comments, but I think it's the 13th of September. I put it out on my social media. I think it's one or two posts back, and I'm going to be speaking with Nicola Light, and there's another chap as well. I can't remember his name, who's going to be taking people up to the Glastonbury tour and doing some soul family stuff. And it's going to be a fabulous day, and I'm going to be making myself deliberately present for anyone that wants to come and have photos or have a hug or come and have a chat. And aside from that, I'm just also quickly going to bring through, I'm just going to channel the Arcturians because I feel that there's something that they'd like to say directly to all of you. So I'm just going to bring them through now. Just give me a second just to rewire my energy. And here we go. Okay, one sec. Dabara shishum bringing in the Gawabara Shavara shishum Goshavadabara Shishavara embodying Dabara Shishakati Ashakarisha coming in, the Katadabari Ashakarisha. Hello, beautiful star seeds. I am the one you have known as Iawat Ansha, part of the Arcturian Light Command. We congratulate you in the embodiment of what is a profound encoding and becoming back to your heritage. When those in your planet, otherwise known as plumbers, are doing pipe work, they are soldering joints together. And in order to create a smooth continuance between the copper, a buffering is needed before flux and heat are applied to make a symbiosis between the elements of the copper. At this moment in time, dear starseeds and lightworkers, this buffering is taking place in order to make the conduit of the bonding easier between yourself and the energies. But it does require some wearing down of residual encoding. So the brilliance of that red tinged orangey copper color can come up to the surface for the new energetic bonding to be encapsulated, creating a newer, stronger bond once the encoding is incorporated, much like the flux and the heat of a blowtorch are applied. But in symbiosis, you have your sun producing these symbioses. We congratulate you with your work and we ask you to continue all that you have done. You are loved beyond anything your miserable hearts can perceive at this time. So, have a wonderful weekend and go into the feeling now of what is being presented to you, not the thinking. The thinking is going to bring you more pain. The feeling is going to bring you the expansion, but only if you can override the fear. God bless, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.